Hello and welcome to Paydirt TV. I'm Dominic Piper. Today I'm joined by Dan Locker, Managing Director of Western Areas. Dan, thanks for coming along.
Good morning. How are you, Dom?
Very well, thanks. Dan, the company's had its full year financial results out in the last few weeks. Looking at the numbers, it feels it's like a real tale of two halves for the company, with the first half not so brilliant, but the strong rebound in the second half. Is that fair to say?
Yes, of course. I mean, I think we've discussed this before, but the operations, both Flying Fox and Spotted Quail, went through a difficult first half. Two different scenarios. One was mainly to do with a bit of seismicity and at Fox, and the issues at Spotted Quail was really to do with pegmatite intrusives, which causes dilution and stuff to the grade. So very different scenarios. We bounced back in the second half, made a small profit. So we've put out guidance, so things should be looking much better and more streamlined over the next few years.
Must be a real testament to the performance of the operations team that they were able to turn things around so quickly.
Well, look, we were a bit shocked that December quarter came out as bad as it was, and you've got to pick yourself up and then hit the targets. And absolutely, look, there was a lot of hard work put in to get the plans up and running for both operations, and see that through to the second half. So
while it's been a turnaround story at Forestania, it's really a story of ongoing growth at Odysseus with the development of the mine there. Can you tell us about the progress you've made on Odysseus in the last few months?
Yeah, look, I mean, it is a very positive story, because whilst we sort of still operating at Forestania, we're trying to get more attention onto our one of the best growth projects in probably nickel in Western Australia, and in Australia probably. We've got all the equipment from South Africa that came through in January, and took all up to site. We've now finished we sort of partially finished the actual winder house. The foundations, the concrete works are all done, and we're now putting the cladding on the actual winder house itself, and that looks really good. And also the raised bore back reaming, the first leg, which is around about 630 meters long, is 92% complete as of yesterday, because I just updated the corporate report. So things are going well. Underground development is on track, basically tracking now probably to get that raised bore hauled round about sort of the fourth week of September, and first ore very soon afterwards, sort of late September.
The story at Cosmos, or Odysseus, has really been one of focus so far on that main Odysseus resource. But in the background, you've been working on the AM5, AM6 deposit that's a little bit further along in the system. Now that the operations are starting to build up, are you getting more confidence in pushing hard and bringing that into reserves and development? Yeah,
of course. I mean, I've made it very well known in the market that once we was settled with getting the development or the rehabilitation down. I mean, remember, we've been going since January 2019 on this, right? So it's been, and now we're sort of on the verge of getting our first ore drive in. So we're pretty happy. There's ventilation requirements, and that main shaft is critical. So we do have some very critical in the second leg, obviously, to start in October. AM6, we did some drilling earlier this year. We did get caught up in the laboratory turnaround for assays. It was a geomet, so metallurgy work as well, grade recovery curves. That's all done. We've reloaded the models, and we're now busy with our last throws of the feasibility study for AM6, and that should be hitting us sort of round about probably into October, where we'll start putting that schedule and joining that with Odysseus. And we did issue recently a 10-year production target, because you've got to be careful about how you call these things. But that target, which is publicly corporate presentation, is fully reserves case only. We haven't put any other resources like Mount Good, AM5. So it's just straightforward reserves. And then when we've got that final number for AM6 integrated with Odysseus, we'll then look at that 1.1 million ton mill.
And as well as AM6 and of course AM5, you've got sat there Mount Good that you haven't really talked about a lot. Are you going to be doing any work on that this year and in coming years?
We've just completed a scoping study with external consultants on Mount Good. Mount Good sits on top of the sort of Odysseus and AM6, AM5, and that runs around about sort of 300 or 1,000 nickel tons in a resource. we're probably looking at an open pit, but we will do some underground studies as well, sort of sub-level caving. But currently we think that the go there will be an open pit. So we'll get some of that information into the market as well from that scoping study, and you'll see that being raised up. We're going to do some exploration drilling.
Dan, it's been 2 years nearly since you gave the green light for Odysseus, but it's superb timing, really, given that you're walking into a period of what seems like a very robust nickel price environment. How will that inform your offtake discussions and your future objectives for the project?
No, good, thanks, Dom. We did announce at Diggers that we are going into the tender process, which we've done. We are now collecting the incoming from all parties. As I said at Diggers, it's actually a good time for going offtake. Nickel sulfides are really sought after right now, and for obvious reasons, you can go laterite into the EVs as well. But the nickel sulfide actually has got sulfur free inside the actual ore itself, or in the concentrate. We've had very strong incomings. But look, as I said before, we're only looking at the first couple of years because we want to keep our powder dry a little bit, because as I've said in my presentation, that it's likely that the incoming growth with the OEMs getting involved, the precursor guys, that there's going to be a much bigger demand, and we've got to be, on behalf of our shareholders, make sure that we can get the best returns for that nickel concentrate in terms of payabilities, etc. And maybe we'd look at strategic partnerships with guys then who would take it through either into a pyro or a smelter or a hydromet, and then into the precursor. So there's moves afoot right now. You'll hear CATL in China, LG Energy and Korea Zinc all talking about sort of JVs along those lines. So look, with a project like Odysseus and then on Mount Good and AM6 on top of that, you're talking probably best part of 20 years of decent production, sort of circa 15 to 20,000 tons of nickel a year.
A 20-year production profile for a nickel sulfide miner is a remarkable and quite a unique perspective to have, and that has obviously fueled a fair bit of discussions about the future of the company. You've been out in the media confirming that you've started some initial consultations and discussions with one of your peers, IGO. How do you see the current consolidation in scenarios in the nickel sector, and what role might Western Areas play in that?
Well, yeah, as you can see in the press, you've got some of the big guys having a bit of a fight about Project Noront up in Canada, and look at the Noront shareholders are going to win out of this, right? So now that seems to now flowing into our own backyard with WA. And again, when you've got a long futuristic view of nickel and you've got the resource and the reserves to actually deliver, well, obviously people that think there's going to be a shortage probably would think, well, maybe we should consolidate. I mean, at the end of the day, we've got quite a few companies here, some of them smaller and larger than others, but inevitably you'd think that consolidation will play a part somewhere on the line. And of course the big group, I guess, in WA that owns a smelter, which is BHP Nickel West, it'll be interesting to see how they play this out, because third-party toll treatment coming into their smelter is obviously a key part of their business strategy. So it'd be keen. I'm actually quite happy that all of this stuff is happening and the nickel price is going up.
It's a great time to be in nickel, and particularly with the Australian Nickel Conference coming up. Hopefully everybody sticks around long enough and you don't acquire every one of your competitors in the next month or so before the programme. We look forward to talking to you there. Thanks for joining us today, Dan, and best of luck with Odysseus.
Thanks, Dom. And look, I'll just make a plug for the conference itself, but that is by far probably the best day value conference that you'll get. And I've done, I can't remember how many of them, probably 10, 12 of them, and it's a great day and you get great value. And I think you're going to be swamped. So I hope the hotel's big enough.
Well, you've heard it there from one of our presenters. It's the Australian Nickel Conference, Dan Locker. It's going to be a chock-a-block programme in October, so please join us for that. And for all our subscribers, there's an exclusive offer. If you send an email to me, Dominic, at paydirt.com.au, we'll be able to sort you out with either a virtual access or in-person access on the day. Thanks again for joining us, Dan.
Thank you.